Hey guys, Claudius here. To reroll or not to reroll? That is the question that most newer players who have just did their first few pulls using their free tickets ask themselves with their units that they receive. Even if you're not new, you'll still be wondering what other units would you need to complete your team composition. And over here, I'm putting up the list of top 5 5-star base units to reroll for. Before I jump in right into the top 5 list, I would like to explain more on the type of roles that you need to fill into your team composition. First, you need to have damage dealers, magic or tank, and you would need to have a chainer. Chainer means that when you have two units with the same attack frame, you can chain attacks and you can see the text behind on the screen, like number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And for each consecutive chain, your hit will have a consecutive increase in damage for up to 300%. And if you can do an elemental chain, you will be able to have an additional 300% in damage per hit after the 10th chain. So there's the detailed calculation there. You should check the wiki about chaining. And here are the units that are currently pretty good with chaining. We have Orlandeau and Dark Veritas. Orlandeau can imperil light element, Dark Veritas can imperil dark element, and both of them can chain with each other. And it is easy to find them on your friends list, because most of your friends will most probably put them up as their friend lead. They are definitely good chainer. Orlandeau can hit hard, Dark Veritas can have good utility. And then we have Onion Knight, who can chain with a lot of 4 different elements, and at the same time he will be able to buff up your elemental resistance too by 70%. Very decent hit, can hit hard, can hit non-elemental chain as well. And then there's an Eileen, who is gonna focus on the earth based damage. She can hit hard when she's using earth damage because she can imperil earth element by 75%. And Tidus, recently enhanced, he can chain quite well too. His chaining move can hit really hard through the enhancement. Transera, her enhanced version, can also chain non-elemental magic attack with a really very strong damage, hits hard as well. Frivia is currently the best hybrid attacker, which means that she utilize both of her attack or magic stats, so you can focus on using an attack to fight against magic resistant enemy, or you can focus to increase her magic stats to fight against physical resistant enemies. So very versatile there and very strong. Barbricia is a wind based chainer. Her best move is she can chain and finish together on the same turn with both Tornado and Iroja. And then a finisher is a unit that can deal 1 hit damage with a really strong damage multiplier. And you would want to combine team up finisher with chainers, so after the chain enables the unit to hit an additional 300% in damage, and that is the right time where you want your finisher to chime in. We have CG Sakura, very strong magic chainer. Olive, her enhanced version is also deal very strong damage, single target damage. Same with Sigil as well, very strong finisher. Cloud is one of the strong one, but unfortunately his strong move is locked behind his limit burst. Emperor also deals a very strong fire damage, so he can act as a finisher, but too bad you need to accumulate the damage for 10 turns. But if you can last that long, or the enemy lasts that long, he is definitely very useful, especially if the enemy is weak against fire. Baltier has a move that is locked behind another move, His finisher move is locked behind, but he's still very strong. Dark Knight Cecile also has a very strong finisher move, but for every hit he would kill himself, literally. Like he would have his HP deducted by a huge amount for every hit. That's a very huge con here. And Nyx also has a very strong finishing move. And unfortunately for Nyx, he will also like hurt himself for every hit. But fortunately it's only 20% per hit. 20% HP reduction per hit of his finishing move. But very strong, guys. There are others that I have not mentioned here, but you definitely need chainers and finishers to play Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. And the stronger you have, the better, because like towards the end there are some enemies that will heal themselves, you know, like 500,000 HP, 1 million HP, and you definitely want to out damage their HP regeneration. They are a very important unit to have, guys. And then you need to have support, especially on the defense part to survive. You need units that can break the enemy or debuff the enemy, and primarily debuff the enemy's attack and magic on the same turn. Because like when the enemy is debuffed, the enemy will deal less damage, either physical or magical damage against yourself. We have Prompto, who can debuff attack and magic by 50%. And we have Basch, who can break both attack and magic for all enemies by 45%. It is still a decent number, still a very useful number. And then we have Orlandeau, his enhanced version. He can break the enemy's attack and magic by 45% for 5 turns. Normally the break from your team typically only has 3 turns, so that additional 2 turns will enable you to do something else that is more useful. And we have Dark Veritas, who can break attack, magic, defense, and spirit on the same turn to all enemies, which means that you can survive more and you can deal damage more on that turn by casting this full break. Lauren can also debuff attack, magic, spirit, and defense by 45% using only one hit, one skill, guys. They are one of the best breakers we may have to survive. Attack and magic is more important than defense and spirit break. And then you will also need a buffer. Again, primarily defense and spirit, so that you can survive the first turn from getting hit by the enemy. Ramza and Roy, they both can sing, and when they sing, they will increase the stats. Ramza's enhanced Hero's Rhyme can increase attack, magic, defense, and spirit by 100% in stats, and at the same time heal HP and MP. Roy, you'll need several turns to rev up his engine to be able to buff up all stats and heal HP and MP and break the enemies. But Roy is definitely able to buff up defense and spirit on the very first turn. Solil here is not a 5-star base, she is a 4-star base unit, but she can eventually buff up all stats by 120%. A very useful unit here. Lunera can also buff defense and spirit and attack and magic at the same turn with her enhanced song, and at the same time she can heal a good amount of HP and heal a good amount of MP per turn. Noctis can also buff up your entire stats, attack, magic, defense, spirit by 124%, but unfortunately it is locked behind his limit burst that requires a lot of limit burst crystal. We have the need of damage mitigation in the team, especially against trial bosses. And yeah, there isn't many 5-star units that can have a good amount, well, basically a good damage mitigation skill. So over here we have Crow, which is a 4-star base unit, and she can cast an on-demand damage mitigation that will reduce damage by 30%. That's on demand, guys. And Mystia is also another 4-star base unit that can cast damage mitigation through her limit burst. And when her limit burst is maxed out, she can reduce damage of her party by 44%. That is a really huge amount of damage mitigation that lasts for 3 turns. Wilhelm is a 5-star base unit, and he also has damage mitigation skill that is locked through his LB up to 54%, but that only lasts for 1 turn. Yeah, there aren't many damage mitigation units that are not limited. Others that we have are limited units like Yen and 9S, and then we have a Sportive Ariana. Yeah, these are just the non-limited version. And then you definitely need to have a recovery support to heal your party here. You need healers. Ayaka is definitely a great healer, all-around healer. She heals really well. She can raise, re-raise, revive, Esuna. Yeah, even heal MP when needed. Ram also can heal with her dual cast, and at the same time she can deal damage. She can act as a finisher too. We have Riku, a 4-star base unit that can re-raise the entire party. She can, basically Riku is a unit, one of the first unit that can cast auto re-raise, so when you get killed, your unit will be automatically revived. She can do that to the entire team, and you definitely be using Riku more. We have a priest that can do that, but Riku is definitely going to be more useful because she also has a skill that can mitigate damage that is locked behind another skill. Luca is definitely the best healer for a 4-star because like her enhanced skill, her enhanced version can cast a HP regeneration that lasts for 20 turns. 20 turns, guys. That's a lot of turns, so if your units are not dying, she can do other job than healing. But she's a 4-star. Yeah, there aren't that many good healers around for a 5-star. And then you also need a recovery support for your MP. Some enemies, some boss are just annoying that will absorb your MP, so this kind of unit will be very helpful for you. Very useful to survive against those type of enemies. Or even if you're fighting in a no item mission, yeah, just use a MP recovery unit to survive that kind of annoying mission. And Ace can heal a lot of MP per turn at the same turn. And then there's also Lunera that can heal MP through her song, a good amount of MP heal. And definitely Ayaka can also heal your party's MP except herself by 50 MP. Very good amount too. Very useful here. And you would also need an elemental support. And there's a unit that can imperil the enemy's elemental resistance, like Ace that can imperil Fire, Light, Lightning. And then Eileen can imperil Earth element by 75%. Tidus can imperil Water element by 100%. Dark Narcissus can imperil Dark element by 100%. Orlando can imperil Light element by 50%. And Dark Veritas can imperil Dark element by 50 to 100%. And what imperil does is that, let's say if an enemy is has a light imperil, you reduce their light resistance by 50%. It means that if you're equipped with light elemental weapon, you'll be able to deal 50% more damage to that enemy. And if the enemy is enemy's light elemental resistance is reduced by 100%, it means that you can deal 100% additional damage to that enemy, guys. That is why Imperil is very useful. And then there's also an elemental resistance buff. This is the unit that can buff up elemental resistance, very useful against magic or elemental base attack from enemy. You know, Murray can buff up 2 elements by 70% per her turn, and then she also has counter that can imperil the enemy or increase her own elemental, the party's elemental resistance. She is one of the best elemental buffer currently for support. And we have Minfilia. She is a 4-star base unit, but she can increase elemental resistance by 70% one by one. And she can also buff up your light and dark elemental resistance by 70%. Murray cannot do that on demand, she needs to buff up your light or dark elemental resistance through her counter, but she also has an AoE elemental resistance buff that is only for 50%. That's why I put Minfilia, because she can buff up dark and light by 70%, high number. And same with Crow can buff up elemental resistance by 64% there through the use of her limit burst. And also we have an Onion Knight who can deal damage and at the same time buff up your party's elemental resistance. So there are just 4 elements that Onion Knight can buff up, but still very useful since you're gonna be using him to chain anyway. And finally, you would need to have a tank, guys, magic and physical tank. We have a provoke tank, that is Wilhelm. He is the best provoke tank you can have in this game. Provoking means that you will redirect a single target attack from the enemy to the provoker. So either a single target magic attack or a single target physical attack will be redirected to that tank that use provoke. And then also you'll need to have a cover tank. It can be an AoE or single target, and the best available one is Basch. Basch can do an AoE cover against magic or AoE cover against physical attack, which means that, let's say if Basch use AoE magic cover, if any of your party members is gonna get targeted by magic attack, Basch will move forward to them and he will take all of that damage to himself. Same when he uses an AoE physical cover, he will cover your party against all physical attacks. We have Chow here. He is a limited unit, so I shouldn't even be putting here, but yeah, he's just really good, just in case you got him. He is an AoE magic tank. Only does magic tank here. And then we have Gladiolus, a 5-star base unit that can do an AoE physical tank. Also very strong. And Gladiolus can also do a single target cover for a single unit of his choice. So he can cover magic or physical attack and cover one particular unit from that either magic or physical attack. And then there's also a dodge tank. This is more like an equipment base this is more like an equipment based tank than a unit based tank. So you can, if you have the right equipment, you can set your unit with a 100% physical evasion rate, which means that that particular unit will not be targeted by any physical attack skill. And Basch is a tank that has innate 10% dodge, so it is easier to equip him and turn him into a 100% physical tank. Noctis has 20% evasion rate physical, and it's also easy to equip Noctis to turn him into a 100% physical tank, because he has provoke skill that can redirect attack to himself, and 2, to turn anybody into a dodge tank, a 100% physical evasion tank, you would definitely need Noctis TMRs, 2 of them to be precise. Yeah, basically those are kind of the best units that you can have right now, and the roles that you need to fill into your team. And yeah, so out of all these many choices, I've picked the top 5 units that you should want, or you would want, especially on your reroll to help out with your gameplay, guys. And here are my personal list of top 5 units that you'd want, especially your reroll. And number 5 we have Basch. He is the only tank that can do an AoE magic cover and AoE physical cover. And due to the equipment that we have, he can also do a 100% provoke. So he is a all-in-one team, so if you don't have tank, you just need to have one of him and you can set him up whatever you want, whether to be a provoke tank, an AoE cover physical tank or an AoE cover magical tank, so that's why you would want him. And as a bonus, he can also break the enemy's attack and magic on the same turn by 45%, really a decent break rate percentage. And if you want to, he can also break the enemy's stat, like one stat only, by 50%. There is no enhancement available yet right now, but he's definitely, which is good, so you can use him to the fullest out of the box right away. I have Ace as my number 4 on my personal list. So first, before I start explaining about Ace, you need to know that you will need to have him enhanced before you can use him fully. Unenhanced Ace is useless, so you need to have a lot of awakening gems as well as a lot of jewels to fully enhance him. And once fully enhanced, you'll be able to use him as a magic chainer. He can deal between like 3.73 times through 30 times random damage multiplier. You know, it's an RNG based, gambling based, but she can hit really hard if he wants to. And at the same time, he'll be able to imperial the enemy by 70% on AoE fire, lightning, and light. And you know, like fire, lightning, light, they are a really common elements that you would want to imperil. And 75% imperil is a really good imperil rate. And after that, he also has an ability that can recover MP by 45 MP per turn to 140 MP per turn, randomly too. But the minimum you can get is 45 MP. And just so you know, most of the skills right now, the best skill that a party have is about 45 MP. That's the average one. So yeah, by having an Ace, you can refill up your unit's HP right away. And yeah, he is only number 4 just because he will need all of that enhancement materials to make him useful. But yeah, he's a really great unit to have, guys. You won't regret getting him. Our Prince Noctis is number 3, and would you look at that, I've highlighted the green color as the skills that you'd be using the most when using a particular unit. And yeah, he can deal physical damage with a 10.5 times multiplier. That's, you know, after you unlock his skill. And at the same time, he'll be able to break the enemy stat by 45% to 50%. So 45% is his unenhanced version. After you enhance his skill, he can break the enemy's attack and defense by 50%. So basically, enhancements are already available for Noctis, but it is not required to make him a really useful unit for you, especially when you have just started. Yeah. And going back to the damage, physical, he deals a really strong physical damage, but unfortunately he is neither chainer nor finisher. So he just uses default animation, which will not be able to chain properly, and yeah, will not be able to finish properly too. But for a raw damage, he is just really good. He's gonna be good really early on, but not gonna be that useful against tough bosses, damage wise, guys, I mean. Yeah, moving on, he can also buff stats by 124% to attack, magic, defense, and spirit, again through the use of his limit burst for 2 turns. He can do a weaker version of buff after you enhance him, 45%, but that's very weak, it's there when you need it. He can mitigate damage through the use of his LB on himself. He has a weak HP regen and weak MP regen skill. He can provoke magic or provoke. He has a 1 turn 100% provoke skill to redirect magic or physical attack against himself. On the arena, he is a god and he's a monster. You know, he's gonna be really scary because he can deal status, ailments, stop, he can counter, he can dodge, he can self-heal. He can do a lot of things, guys. You can see out of all the tasks here, he can do everything except imperil and boost elemental resistance. His TMR is god class, definitely god class, because like every unit would want that. You would need that to get 100% evasion rate, and to be honest with you, I don't mind getting 10 of Noctis so that all 5 of my units can equip his TMR. That's how good his TMR is for everyone. And yes, Veritas of Dark is the runner-up at number 2. So he's a physical chainer with a skill that can deal a 4 times modifier. So you may be wondering and asking me, why is Dark Veritas here? There are many stronger chainers. Well, the first is because like he is from the Landu family. You know, you can have a friend. Basically, his chaining skill has the similar attack frame with different units other than himself. So he can chain with Orlandu, he can chain with Agrias. In the future, he can chain with Enhanced Sigil as well. He can chain with Sephiroth in the future. So there are many chaining powers, and I know like it's probably gonna be hard if you are new. Just reroll, probably gonna be hard to get 2 of the same units. Yeah, so if you get an Onion Knight, you need 2 Onion Knights to chain properly, right? And you know, there are also 10-man battles. You need to fight there, in which you cannot bring a copy of duplicate units. So that is why I picked Veritas of Dark. And then again, why Veritas of Dark instead of Orlandu is because he brings in much more utility. When you're new, you definitely want a unit that can do other stuff than just deal damage. If you want a raw damage, yes, Orlandu is the one. But you definitely want more than just damage. You know, Dark Veritas can also debuff the enemy's attack, magic, defense, and spirit by 45%, and that is AoE, guys. All enemies. Very strong for 3 turns. He can also reduce damage by 20% to all allies, you know, damage mitigation on demand. Well, his skill can imperil Dark element. Unfortunately, Dark is a pretty common that the enemy is resistant to, but it is there when you need it. And he can buff up Dark Elemental Resistance by 70%. There aren't that many units that can buff up Dark Elemental Resistance on demand, and he is one of them. He can even absorb Dark Elemental damage to himself. So if you're fighting against an enemy that spam Dark Elemental only, Dark Veritas is the one, guys. And even for Arena, he has a skill called Dual Slash that can hit 2 times, and when you're dual wielding him, he can hit 4 times. And considering that there's a cap damage of 999 in Arena, you can deal 3996 damage if the enemy cannot evade his attack. So there is a huge amount of damage he can deal within a turn. Very useful enemy, very strong. And we have Ayaka as number 1. Yes, I know like the game needs damage dealer, you know, like I was pondering between Ayaka and Dark Veritas as number 1, but eventually I concede to Ayaka because Ayaka can basically, she can heal really well. She is the best healer you can get in the game. Between the best healer and the second best healer, the gap is just so large, guys. So in order to get an Ayaka on an off-banner chance, it is kind of like getting, you know, looking for a needle, like one needle in a haystack. For damage dealers, you have many other options. You have an Orlandu, you have Dark Veritas, you have Onion Knight, you have Eileen. But for healers, she is the only one. So if you get her, congratulations. She's very difficult to obtain, and she can heal really well. But remember, guys, you cannot win the game by just defending and healing. Yeah. But again, she's still the best. And moving on to her skill, she has a skill that can re-raise your party, revive your party, regen, also full heal your party using her Q Raja, the strongest healing spell right now. And she can heal MP by 50, except to herself. She has various status immunity. She can cure stop, which is very useful in Arena. Yeah, and then her limit burst is also the strongest one there is. It requires a lot of limit burst crystal, but if you use it, it's kind of like a total reset. Revive entire party by 100% HP, you heal party by 100%, and then you can also remove attack, magic, status, well, all kind of status debuff. You can remove status break. I mean, that is just how great she is. That's why she is number 1 on my personal list. And here are the noteworthy 5-star base units. You know, like that are not on the top 5 list. And we have Lunera, who can buff up attack, magic, defense, and spirit by 90%. And then she can heal strong, HP, and MP as well. As you may have noticed, I did not have any 5-star buffer on my top 5 list, and she's just here, yeah. And the reason why I don't have any buffer, top 5-star buffer, because we have Soleil, which is only a 4-star base unit that can buff really well. Yeah, so we really need a game-changing 5-star base buffer, guys. But right now, Soleil can handle most of the job. In Orlando, I explained why earlier. Frivia is a hybrid attacker, really strong chainer. You'll be great to get her. She's versatile again. And then there's an Explorer Eileen. Her banner is still up right now. She can chain, she can finish, so you have a unit with 2 rolls, and yeah, not many units can do that role like her. And of course we have 2 unreleased units here, Sephiroth. Sephiroth can chain with both Onion Knife and Orlando, and those 2 are the favorite lead that you may see on your friends list, so yeah. Even like 1 Sephiroth is good enough for you to chain with your unit lead. That's why you want him. I want him personally. And there's CG Fina. This is gonna be on par with Ayaka. You know, like right now it's like a needle in a haystack to get an Ayaka. But when CG Fina is out, it's probably gonna be like finding 2 needles in a haystack. So more chance, but still very few strong healers around. And finally over here I have the summary of the top 5 units that you would want on your reroll, or even if you're not rerolling, you probably would want to have this unit too, especially if you're free to play and cannot afford getting a lot of rainbows. Yeah, these are great. Ayaka is just a healer, very strong healer that's really good at her job. And then we have Orlando, your physical chainer that has other utilities to use. And then there is a Noctis. You can see that he can do a lot of jobs, other jobs. 1 Noctis can cover the jobs of others. So while you're getting getting units with, you know, 5-star base that are good at the assigned roles, you can use Noctis in the meantime. Ace, he is the unit that I use the most on almost every battle due to his 2 skills, MP Recovery and Imperil. So those are just the 2 skills that makes me want to use him every time. And Basch is also an all-in-one tank. He can cover magic attack, he can cover physical attack, he can do provoke with the current available equipment. Yeah, that is just how great he is as a tank. You know, when you're rerolling, you'd want a unit with multiple rolls right away, so that it's easier to equip and level up. Anyway, I hope this kind of gives you an idea on what units you would want to have on your team. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye bye.